All right. Any guidance for today's discussion? Any way that Kayla will be able to serve the collective best way possible and for herself? Since that's what Kelsey drew last time in the mystic. You got two. Righty. I don't quite have them memorized. I don't know if people ever memorize oracle cards, do they? It's not a thing.
I like to do a combination of kind of pulling from my initial instinct, and then I always read to learn a lot with interior deck.
Yeah. With tarot, I think I'm more like intuitive. But with oracle, well, sometimes I'll look at it and it's like whatever first emotion seems to come up. But like for me, I guess what's coming up right here is being like mysterious and like igniting like a small passion. But that's what I first am thinking about.
Yeah.
What about you?
Connection to nature too, with the Dran.
Yes. Okay, so let's do the mystic first. Mystic 108. Do you do numbers and stuff like on pages at all?
Look like numeral.
Yeah.
Typically not with
The book?
cards. Yeah, but that's a good thought.
Yeah, sometimes I do.
Yeah.
So this could have to do with completion because it reduces to 9. Okay. The card of the mystic invites us to consciously enter the space of not knowing and remain open to the mystery of life. Mysticism means believing in something that cannot be felt, seen, or touched. We can glimpse the divine with the power of our soul, but the greater part of our inner devotion rests on our faith and acceptance that life and creation are a mystery that we cannot grasp with our minds alone. This inhabitant, like I could read it in my brain, but not out loud, of our inner world asks you to receive life with open arms and transform it with an open heart. For the heart cannot blossom if we run away from suffering. Allow yourself to accept your feelings with the knowledge that they will not destroy you, but will make you a more compassionate person and open up new possibilities. This requires surrendering to the moment, letting go, and accepting what is, and to become one with the power that guides everything. The mystic has learned not to judge, avoid, or condemn, but to look openly at what shows itself and thus be free from wanting to have or wanting to having to. The mystic reminds us that the true magic of life lies in connectedness because all is one. The shadow shows itself when we are so absorbed in our inner experiences that we lose touch with the outer world. This can lead to isolation, in which we have difficulty finding practical solutions to everyday problems. Or we may identify with spiritual ideas and believe ourselves to be above others. May this card remind you that in conscious solitude, you find the opportunity to separate yourself from what is not true and over which you have no control. The message is enlightenment is a transformative process. Enlightenment means that what you once thought was true falls apart. And the Phoenix experience is if you meet loneliness with resistance, it will give you deep insights. You will discover why you may be afraid to become the person you are meant to be. Okay. I feel like that kind of brought up what we were just kind of talking about a little bit, but
I agree.
yeah, just a little. I wonder if that's where we're going today. We'll see. Let's do the dryad. Seems like you were kind of pulled to that card more, huh?
I like that one.
Maybe.
Yeah, they're both.
Yeah.
Different.
Okay. The element of earth. 69 page. Sure, that's the sex number. Just kidding. Sorry, child.
Well, okay. Keep off.
Okay. The mystical creature of the dryad represents the element of earth. This stands for ancient traditions and rituals, the ability to live in harmony with nature and animals, and for good grounding. A strong earth element helps you to radiate calmness in challenging situations, to see a situation realistically, to accept the status quo, and to find practical solutions. It stands for loyalty, dedication, perseverance, clear structure, discipline, the ability to assert yourself, and to be resilient. It will always inspire you to create safety and protection for your friends, loved ones, and yourself. Honesty and modesty are other of its qualities. The stubbornness and persistence of the earth element can make you less flexible, but stubbornness also enables you to achieve goals and to remain true to your morals and ethics, even under pressure. The element earth stands for basic trust in life and its cycles, for material values, your body, your survival instincts, your roots, and for Mother Earth. The trials of this element can present you with difficult decisions or lead you into seemingly hopeless situations. If you feel limited, you are called upon to achieve an inner breakthrough. When we lose our possessions, our status, a loved one, or our previous identity, we experience an initiation process of the element earth. We must learn to deal with life's adversities and consciously create endings. When we master the element of earth within us, our choices show that we have made inner peace with our memories and recognize that we can live our lives powerfully within earthly limitations. If we limit ourselves out of fear of losing our safety and stop growing, then we are trapped in the element of earth. This card reminds us that we need healthy roots to grow and build a solid foundation in our lives. The good news is that we can heal our roots. And the message is let your connection to the earth always give you love, basic trust, security, and a feeling of connectedness with all living things. Look for activities that ground you. Focus on what nourishes and fulfills you and the people you care about. Think about what you can let go of internally and externally to cleanse and find clarity. Okay. What came up for you in those two? Like, did anything stand out in particular?
So in relation to that last card, I was just thinking that so astrologically, I've got a lot of water, earth predominantly in my chart.
Yeah.
And the earth portions have really helped me create my balance or find a balance with what I incorporate in my life. And I always refer to my pie chart of all the things that I like to include that are a part of what I'm passionate about or interested in or hobbies or just things that I prioritize. And it really comes down to discipline in a lot of ways, and commitment and dedication, which is a lot of that kind of foundational, uh, the foundational base of how you're bringing those things into your life and um, actualizing them in your reality as opposed to just being in ethers or imagination or as a potential.
Yeah.
And then with the mystic, I was thinking about, I had mentioned integrating your shadow, but also what was it saying? We're just thinking about kind of the wavy moments of kind of isolating and withdrawing and looking inward, and then being able to then like rise out of that and create something anew. And I feel like every dip, even if it goes lower than before, those higher points get higher as time goes on. And it's nice to be able to see that shift over the course of time.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I hear you. I think a lot of people can relate to that, especially I think like I don't know. Maybe it's just because of where I am personally, because the reality I'm experiencing is what I see. But it does seem like a lot of people are kind of coming to that conclusion too, or they're kind of starting to see those patterns of like not having to have like move through time like just in a linear way, and how like things kind of circle back, and how you're saying like it might feel like a deeper um dissension at some points, but you feel like the highs are higher. And then what that brings up for me when you say that is like just going down and like establishing deeper roots so that your tree is able to grow taller and reach higher so it doesn't collapse, because we can get on this like ascension thing and keep going, and but if like there's nothing really stabilizing that, then it's not sustainable. And that's why I think a lot of times we get sucked back down into things because it's like there's like a shadow that needs to be integrated so that we can get to that next point of growth that we're going for. Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Definitely. And with expansion, like you said, it's not just one direction, it's both directions. So the further you go one way or the other, you kind of have to meet the polarity and its opposite.
Yeah, no, you do. It's kind of, and then that gets kind of confusing for me too, because when you're thinking about like you're okay, like so if you're like what you're saying with like the opposite. So do you feel like you're actually kind of getting slingshot between the two? Like, is that something that you experience?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe just going both directions at once, even.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah.
I hear you. Yeah. And it's a little bit confusing. So, I want to introduce you to the show. So, Kayla is, I first met her she did bodywork therapy on me when I was having like extreme migraines working in like a corporate environment. And she really helped me through a lot of stuff. And I'm really pleased and happy that she's here to talk to us about all the offerings that she does. What I One of the things that like always kind of brings me a little bit of wonder is because it like when I it seems like you're pretty booked most of the time.
Yeah,
But
especially the last several years.
yeah, and like you feel like it's all like just fluidly going there, or is it a word of mouth thing? Because it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of advertisement going on.
Yeah.
And like, so that's kind of like the new wave of like business that I've been kind of noticing is like my friend Kelsey too. She does do advertising, but it's in a flow way. And that's kind of something that I'm really interested in learning more about. So what's your perspective on like advertisement, like those kinds of things when it comes to growing your spiritual business?
Yeah, I've dabbled in different marketing ventures
Yeah.
over time. And some of them I got a little bit of feedback from, but by far, word of mouth, and also um, people leaving reviews.
Uh-huh.
Uh, I've kind of directed them more towards Google just so it's all in one place.
Okay.
But that's helped people find me online.
Mhm.
And it's kind of an organic way of shifting me higher up on uh, what's the word I'm looking for? When people are searching for something and certain businesses pop up just because they're more popular or have better reviews, things like that. Because you can buy that.
Yeah.
And I never necessarily had extra money to do that anyways. But I was like, I would rather do that because people are really benefiting from their services. So I forget to tell people or ask them to leave a review a lot, but that has helped.
Sure. Okay, so reviews and things like that. And that makes a lot of sense. Like, because you don't really want to attract everyone because your offerings aren't for everyone.
Right.
I mean, not right now anyway. Like, they will be eventually, but they're not for everybody right now. And because that just depends on where the person is, like the client is.
Yeah, very much so. And it's, I enjoy working with kind of the audience that's attracted to me, with the business that I've grown. And even when I was working out Like Minded, I was still running my own business through the clinic with more of a cooperative therapist just in the same building.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But prior to that, I worked in a massage clinic, and they had all kinds of marketing techniques or things that they would incorporate in their model, and they used Groupon a lot, and they were really catering to the masses in a big way. So you got
all kinds of people,
everyone, and it was a little more stressful because it wasn't quite, I wasn't able to align with people in the same way. I wasn't running myself through that clinic. I was working at that clinic. And, so it was just very different. The people that find me these days, I feel like are really, it makes sense for them to be there.
Yeah.
They're on a level and just ready for it. So
yeah, that makes sense. Because we all have like a niche type of offering that we can give people, and depending on what you vibrationally are able to hold for people, like if they're able to receive it or not. So it makes a lot of sense. So before we get too far into all that, because I'm gonna ask some more questions, but I don't want to get too far. So where did you grow up? Did you grow up here in Oklahoma, or whereabouts?
Southside, South OKC area, more public schools.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't grow up with a family that necessarily leaned towards these kinds of ideologies or understandings. My family was definitely more conservative, very involved in Church of Christ congregation we were a part of at the time, and it took me until like mid-teenage years. I think what really drew my attention even earlier than that was psychology. And then in high school, I really started delving more into quantum physics. And I think by senior year, a friend of mine, his mom, she is a naturopath. She's got a doctorate in naturopathy.
Yeah.
And a couple other, I think, degrees in holistic sciences, alternative medicine. And she really inspired me. She was definitely paved the way for me as I was gearing myself more in that direction. So that was cool. She had given me a book to read, I remember, and
do you remember the name of the book?
I think it was The Healing Codes or something like that. It was really pretty simplistic. This guy was just telling his story about how he kind of had intuitively come across different, basically they're like acupressure points on a meridian line, but to help him stabilize his nervous system and just help with other, help stimulate other modes of healing. And he was working with people and having these like fantastic results. And I remember reading that book just like lit up my heart in a certain way. And over the course of the next year or two, there was a lot of different things that just the high I got from reading into something that I wasn't as familiar with, but I was like, this is it.
Yeah.
What I'm supposed to be doing. This is what I'm supposed to be a part of. And so it was very clear. It took some years for me to get clear on that because there was a lot of things that drew my attention. It's not like herbs or oils or psychedelics kind of took me on a journey, and different things that had stuck out to me, but I didn't really know how I wanted to go about um, meshing that with career or more of a jobs.
There's so many different avenues you can go down. So that makes a lot of sense. I feel like I'm kind of going through that right now, just kind of trying to figure out which road to go down because I can it's weird because I'm doing I mean, I don't know if this is considered astral travel or not, but it's like I can like actually feel myself living that reality. But then and it feels good. And then a new one will come in and I'm like, "Oh, that feels good too." And then like it's kind of but you can't I've been guided to get more focused in on, one or two things and not kind of be so spread out.
And eventually, it all kind of does merge in a cool way, but it does help, like, step by step to focus efforts a little more. Because I was, uh, like, my attention was really divided in the beginning too, and I was like, "I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do a little bit of this, and I'm gonna study this, this, and this," and then I was like, "I need to rein it in a little bit and just kind of take it easy so that I can give more of myself to each individual thing that I do eventually want to be a part of what I'm doing."
For sure. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So when did you did you go you actually went to university first, correct? Where did you study in school?
I After high school, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, and I was like, I need like a 6-month vacation. I've worked since I was 15, and I've been living at home, so I'd saved up a bunch of money, and I was like, I need to just chill because there was a lot of integration I needed to do from childhood, and um, my senior year was especially really stressful. And so I had told my parents that I was going to go to OSU. I'd enrolled there and kind of had that plan A set up. But on the side, I was like, I want to go just live in an apartment in Colorado for 6 months, just pay month to month, and it just be like a long vacation, essentially. And I did end up taking a few classes out at Red Rocks just because I wanted to take classes around things I was interested in, but didn't have necessarily an objective with, okay, these are gonna be a part of my associates or count towards credits. I was like, I just want to.
So is Red Rocks a university?
It was like a community college.
Okay.
Yeah. So I took like comparative religion and music appreciation and psychology of personality.
Okay.
Classes that I took. And then I came back to Oklahoma after that, and I already had like 60 hours of college credit from high school. So I was like, okay, just finish out a couple more years to get a bachelor's, and doesn't hurt to have the piece of paper.
No.
So I ended up getting my bachelor's in community public health, and then I minored in psychology.
Okay.
And while I was taking those classes, I was also doing little certificate programs and other classes and diploma programs that had more to do with like energetic modalities.
Okay. Where did you do those at?
Online.
Yeah.
So there were different they were just different programs, so I didn't go anywhere in person to do those. I remember I did after so one of the programs I did was in California. It was a Sound Healing Institute. And we would do little webinars, but just online classes. And then a lot of the other stuff was kind of self-paced. It was just, getting through different textbooks or book material, and then doing some papers and things like that over them. So
Oh, cool. I like that.
yeah,
Very good.
so I just kind of added on. Right, I did as many little things as possible, and just whatever was striking me at the time. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go this way, and then just kind of add this into my repertoire.
Okay.
But I had reached out to a number of people all over the United States because I was like, I don't know exactly what I need. Do I need to go to like a do I need a doctorate in naturopathy,
Yeah.
or what kind of schooling is really going to be required of me? And it was all of the board, the answers I was getting and the road people had taken to get to that point. And I was like, I can really make this my own and just create it to be what I want it to be and make it happen.
Yeah.
So.
I think a lot of people can probably relate to that. I know I definitely can. Just because it's like, well, what's going to make me actually qualified to do the kind of work that I want to do? But what's going to make me qualified is like having the education that I know is going to make me do the work I want to do correctly and in a beneficial way. And however that shows up, whether it's on paper or it's not, like that's what I've got to be brave enough to do that and decide that. And then is that kind of what you ended up doing or?
Yeah, because there's not a lot of like statutory, they haven't set things in place that mandate that certain therapists do certain things within this field anyways. In some ways with like a psychiatrist or psychologist or counselor, but um the practice I was building was going to be a little bit different from that, so it was a little more free reign as far as that went.
Mhm. But you kind of do a little bit with, at least with my experience with you, because sometimes we would do a little bit of talk, and then sometimes it would be all energetic work. Sometimes there was body work. How do you feel that situation out? Like, do you do it client by client, or you let them kind of guide it, or do you kind of lean into your own intuition sometimes on that? And how do you differ what you might be projecting onto others from your own self and what's actually coming from them? How do you decipher between that? And is it still a work of progress?
Yeah, always.
Yeah.
All of the above, as far as just it is kind of a case by case feel out. And it's been a lot of refining uh, what's coming through and being able to distinguish what's mine and what's someone else's. Obviously, the less emotional strain that I have in my life, the less foggy I am, and the less that's sitting in my field where it's bleeding into potentially what I'm picking up on. Um, so maintaining a steadiness in my life and just being really specific about the environments I'm in, the people that I'm around, who I'm giving time and energy to, make a huge difference in the just mental clarity I'm able to.
Yeah. So I have a specific question about that, just because I'm curious about your input on it. Because this is something I always am thinking about, and it's like it is we want to be able to like control our environment and stuff like that, but also like when we put ourselves in situations that aren't necessarily comfortable, that also kind of pushes us to grow.
Sure.
So it's like, where do you draw the line of like, I'm, being a little chicken, or how do you know? Because in a way, like you need to do that so that you're able to show up for your clients in a way that's productive and things like that.
Yeah.
But that's always something I'm always questionable. If I was an aligned Buddha, then it wouldn't matter who I was around. But would it? Maybe it would.
I think it too, the time and energy portion is critical because I love being around anybody and everybody. I don't care who it is. Uh, someone could have killed 12 people the day before, and I'm like, let's talk, or
Yeah.
I mean, just it's any walk of life and any environment for that matter, because it really comes down to also like me being able to like stay sturdy with my own energy, but also not be walled off or blocked to other energies because those are important to engage with to some degree. But I know for a long time I tried to spread myself more thin when it came to who I was around because I was like, I'll make it work, like I want to just like love them.
Yeah.
I can still do that. But I was spinning my wheels in different ways, and I was like, okay, I need to just be cautious and discerning about what's actually matching energetically and what I'm just trying to force together.
No, I get it.
And so there's a time and a place for everything though, and everyone. I don't feel like there's anything that I am like deterred by, or not deterred by, but I have an aversion to.
Yeah.
But I just want to be mindful of my own space and what I'm allowing into it, like repetitively.
No, I get it. What came up for me when you were saying that was like just kind of like you were saying, like being more strategic about how you use your energy. I mean, we only, as humans, like even though we're all one, we could ultimately have all energy. We can only put so much in this human body at once. And so we can only have so much energy throughout the day. But I don't know if that's actually true in some ways because I feel like I have more energy now than I have at different levels of integration.
Mm-hmm.
So, but what came up for me when you said that was like, okay, and this is just a message for me, probably has nothing to do with what you said for you, but was like, if using your energy in spaces where you know it's actually going to be useful and not trying to like push it into an area that's not going to that's not going to receive it,
Right.
And that it's okay to like love people from a distance in that sense. If you but then it's like, how do you know that like the seed you plant is not going to do something down the line? But really all you have to do is plant a seed in that scenario, right? You don't have to like keep pushing it. Like it's there. They remember. Like you don't have to continue to push it.
No, and I have a 5% rule ish with most people where I offer some words or commentary or just where I stand with something. And if they bite at it, then we can keep going with it. But if they don't um, like engage with what's being brought forward, then it's like, okay, that's cool.
Like, are you meaning like if you can tell if someone's uncomfortable with it, or if you can tell if what do you had is it different with everyone?
Yeah, but so like you said, like tension enables growth. So, you want to put yourself in uncomfortable situations on both ends. And so I think I don't want to press on someone so hard that they like really repel backwards. So just enough where it gets them thinking maybe outside the box or in a different way than they have before. And then a lot of times you just leave it at that because, oftentimes too people need to be introduced to something a number of times or hear something a number of times before they even really want to go further with it.
Yeah. But you don't have to be the only messenger. Like there could be someone else in that. Yeah. And I think maybe that's something that a lot of people that are on this like consciousness journey, especially in Oklahoma where it's not like a super common thing yet, that we kind of like maybe put a lot of pressure on ourselves to like, well, there's not going to be that many people that are going to tell them about this. But I don't know if that's actually true because I'm starting to feel like there's more like if you're seeking, like it will find you. So there's like if you're in that seeking mentality, like you're in that space to receive messages, like it'll start coming to you from all directions. It's not gonna just come from one person. I don't know.
Agreed. And there really is a huge wave of just new paradigms coming into play and
What do you mean by that? Like,
just different structures with how people are living their lives, their thought processes, the way that they're connecting into themselves and relating to other people and understanding their experiences and just the setup that we have had, let's say on a more societal level even, is breaking down so that new things can form and it's happening at a very fast pace.
yeah, I agree.
And
When I said that not here in Oklahoma, I think that's maybe a fear a lot of people might have that it's
yeah.
but I do agree that that's something that is rapidly happening everywhere. But
And the morphogenetic field, when after a certain percentage of a species or whatever collective mind comes into an understanding about something or comes up with an idea or whatever it may be, it automatically starts pinging everyone around. So they, even if no one was telling them about it, they would probably just start kind of
feel it.
Yeah. And leaning into those, new patterns or, yeah.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I've gone back to spaces where I had left and noticed shifts in people after I had left spaces and gone back and I'm like, oh, I mean, we're not in the same like the exact same timeline, but like there's definitely a shift. And that could be just my perception of the reality at that point, but it's it's hard to know. Is it because I'm changing my mentality or is like people actually changing? It's kind of hard to decipher, at least for me.
It is, and we're all going to, uh, our journey is really our own, and we all have different modes of resistance to things and reasons why we stay stuck in certain loops or cycles, and you know, no shame about it. Sometimes it takes a while because there's a lot that we're carrying, not just from this lifetime, not just from other lifetimes that our soul has uh, been a part of, but generational traumas and collective traumas that go back eons.
Yeah, yeah.
So even a slow pace sometimes is significant. You know,
Yeah.
any little change.
No, and I feel like mine is slow in a lot of ways. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and I don't know if I don't know if that's accurate or not, but I also feel like was kind of rushing it a little bit too much at points, and it was like, and I don't know, this is just my personal experience, and I could have just been creating this with my mind, but to me, it felt like it was kind of hard on my like physical body to be integrating so fast.
Yeah. We are in the physical realm.
Yeah.
How to play catch up too. And we're kind of in more of a third density time space arena. And as we're evolving, there's expansion with like the dimensional spaces that we are embodying. But you can't force something. I mean, in the quantum world, there are things that can happen instantaneously.
Sure.
And on some level, they do. But to allow that to reverberate out into our reality in the physical realm, that takes a minute. And we have to revisit things usually a number of times.
Right. Because you have to show up different when it's presented, right?
And you go a little deeper each time, ideally. But it always comes full circle. And it's like, okay, I'm back here again. Like, there's nothing you really just like done with that. And
Yeah.
like I am cured.
I'm cured from everything. I have a perfect conduit.
Yeah. We're not supposed to be.
No.
We're a human, or spirit having a human experience, or vice versa. But we're having an experience, and that's just part of it.
Yeah, and I think we're all supposed to experience as much of the human experience as possible, and that's not all like, you know, roses and butterflies. Like that's not all of the human experience.
No, it's full spectrum.
Yeah, and especially when you talk about anything that goes into like sensuality and stuff, is like when you're on this like all love and light path, like, and I don't know if anyone else feels this way, but when I was like just so focused on like only doing things on a love and light spectrum, like I felt my sensuality like kind of disintegrate. And that was like a disempowering experience for me. So it's like we've got a little bit of mystery and depth and a little bit of like, I don't know what the term would be, but seductiveness, but like that's and that in itself can be power dynamics, and like there's a shadow and a light to that, and like just balancing those energies, and it can't be like all perfect wonderful angels all the time. It's like not.
Right. Well, and there's a lot of societal constructs in place that have skewed sexuality and seduction in a lot of ways, because if you think about that, libido, that's part of our creative life force.
Yeah.
And that's us like getting off to all kinds of things other than just on a physical erotic level. I mean, that's how you create reality.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because well, just any type of creation, like in that, it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be art. It doesn't have to, yeah, all of
Anything.
anything that you create,
Yeah.
and having that like vitality that comes from that central energy. Like this is something that like I kind of recently started integrating into my practice, and this is like I used to feel very disempowered by being sexualized by men, and like so I've had a few instances where it's come up, and like I was like, you know what? Thank you for that gift. I'm gonna use that energy and like actually like feeling it go into my sacral and being like, I'm gonna use this for some creative power and like actually like letting it rise through my body and like thinking that, and it ends up feeling very like I don't no longer feel like a victim in that
Right.
sense. And like and also they don't feel more powerful than me in that dynamic.
Right.
And it's just kind of like it's how we perceive what's being thrown at us. Like anytime anyone sends us any type of energy, like we decide on how it gets to be used towards us.
Absolutely. Yeah, and really we can be grateful for all of it regardless of what
Yeah.
it is, because it's going to be helpful in one way or another.
Yeah, for sure. Whether that's like pushing you into the corner where you have to stand up for yourself, or you're deciding that it's it's a non-issue because
Right.
they have no power over you. Like
Right.
being able to either they both end up to the same conclusion. It's just this like you know what I'm saying? Like one path's not necessarily greater than the other. It's just where you end up in the same place. So it doesn't really matter.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of the idea too of not looking at anything as being good or bad or even right or wrong. If you remain fairly neutral with how you're relating to those experiences, then like you said, it really does depend on just how you utilize it in the grand scheme of things, because it can all push you forward.
Yeah. I think the main thing that just in the last month I've been working through is like when I feel judgment come up, or either towards myself or others,
Yeah.
or like sexual energy. And that was like I feel like the sexual energy thing was like more easily integrated, and then like but I still like, and that's something that's in my astrological chart. It's a generational thing, the judgment, the like Virgo energy. That's like, that is the shadow of Virgo is something that I'm meant to work through in this life. That's one of my major challenges. And like, and so it's, oh, now I'm at a point where I'm like, when I see it come up, I'm like, I'm aware of it. So I'll be able to move through it a lot better. And so that's what I've been trying to do with my own astrological practice, is just being able to like see where, you know, where my cheat codes are energetically, and like what I can see is going to be a challenge for me on an energetic level, and being able to like try to maneuver things in a way that's like more in flow.
Yeah.
Because we can like in that scenario where it's like you can either get backed into a corner and you can get to the place of empowerment, or you can just decide to be empowered. And if I mean, you have to have an understanding and not spiritually bypass, but like having the knowledge of that this is going to show up and you can decide how to approach it is been it's been helpful. And honestly, I mean, it's helped me meet a lot of people that have helped me through this process, like you. Like if I hadn't had that for me, that's my foundation. I feel like that's going to be my practice, is like helping people through astrology.
Yeah.
But I don't know how that's going to like happen yet, but I know that it's worked for me. So that's hopefully something I'll be able to. I'm just not introducing it to you. I haven't actually really said that super out loud yet.
Yeah. Nice.
But like I feel like I've got to the point where I'm like, yeah, this is probably what this is. But I know I want to do some other stuff incorporated in with that. But that's gonna be like my foundation practice, and I'm gonna have stuff that's I'm gonna build on top of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm excited about it. Yeah.
And just to touch on too what you're saying with kind of our sexual natures, I think a lot of times we misconstrue to like sexual energy and just feeling excited after relating to somebody. You know, it's like this compilation of energies here, and then we have our own compilation of energies and they're interacting with one another, and there's all these dynamics, and ideally there's a lot of inspiration and like co-creative energy moving us, and so we feel that spark.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're like, oh, I'm attracted to this.
Yes.
And then we may judge ourselves or, there's a lot of projection, again, that is kind of comes from the societal constructs that has, um, it can make us feel shame or guilt when there's no need for that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like that's something that like me and my partner talk about sometimes and like it's and that was kind of how I knew he was like a mature person. Like when we were like, like attraction's super normal. It's like what you do with that is what matters. And like kind of what you were saying is like that could like it might have this sensual feeling at that initial spark, but like, and I think that too is like, that's kind of the role that a lot of us women can play is that we have more intuitive like information about that naturally. Not saying that men don't have feminine energy, but like we're more in tune with it just because it's been more acceptable for us to be in tune with it.
Yeah.
But like if we're able to lead that, like what is birthed out of it, then I feel like we can have more healthy relationships with like the opposite sex in more of a platonic way. Because every like time you get to know somebody, like when you first get to know them, it's like, oh, where are you from? What tribe are you from? Like root chakra work, right?
Yeah.
And then it's the creative spark and the sacral, and then like how are you empowering each other? And it just as you grow and connect with someone, it gets up to that point where it's up in the crown and it's this platonic connection.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of whenever people actually get into like committed relationships that they kind of go through this phase of like not feeling super sexual because they have this like higher connection and being able to like integrate all of it at once. I feel like a divine partnership, like that's the ultimate goal is to be able to like exist in all of those energetic centers with your partner. And I don't think it's always going to be like you're not always going to connect at the same. This is kind of just pouring out. I don't know. I think I'm yeah.
And too, like you said, as we're kind of working our way up relationally with people through those centers, I think sometimes we focus in on the sacral energy as it's happening and then maybe take it in a direction where if we would have moved with it a little differently in the moment, then it could have progressed. But sometimes it gets stopped there because it was like, oh, that wasn't necessarily like the optimized way that energy could have worked with one another.
Yeah. We decided to create there instead of yeah. Of course sometimes you want to do that.
Yeah.
Too, but yeah.
But just kind of being able to look beyond that and seeing like how can this grow.
Yeah, and that's how I think sometimes our hormones can kind of trick us a little bit. But we are in a human body. But I mean, that's I feel like that's like a new realization I've come to and everything. But I want to talk about I want to pause this really quick just to make sure we're not too much over time that way. And then because if it's too far